So, this block of ice here, it's hard to tell, but it is huge. Right now I put it into a, well, we're going to need to put it into a manual. Harvest, go to service, go down to manual harvest, and that should do it. It'll go into a harvest. And I was pouring hot water. Let's get this thing off here so it doesn't fall off and rip that out. I can see it and hear it in the manual defrost. So as you can tell, I've taken off all the panels, so the top, the front, the curtain, there's a little shield curtain here, then this is the ice curtain. It tells it when the ice falls off, it hits that and breaks a connection, a magnetic switch kind of on the side. I've opened it up and there is power, so I've got to be kind of careful. And right now the microphone that senses the ice level thickness comes back, and it is right here, this black and red wires. That we'll be pulling that off and checking the voltage. On this particular model, it's going to be like 3 volts DC. I wrote it down. I think it's 3.35 to 3.5, and then it should. If we've got voltage there, then we'll know that our ear is either bad, or if we don't have voltage there at the correct voltage there, then we'll know that it's the board, and we'll need to replace this board or that. And we'll check the pressures too. Sounds like it went back into a freeze mode. So putting this thing back into it, because there's so much ice, we're going to have to probably do this a few times. Hit the little menu button, go down to service, check mark, down to manual harvest, pretty simple. That's the sound. That's definitely that it's going into a harvest, which we can check the pressures on our service valve. It is right here. So you got your high side, your low side, and your receiver valve. We would only be concerned with these two, high side and low side, while in a manual harvest, or while in a harvest. We should be getting about 75 to 90 on the low side, and then on the high side anywhere between 150 and 185 psi. And that is for this particular model that is running 404A. So we will go ahead and I will hook my gauges up and we will check that in a harvest. Okay, so we are, let's see, we are making ice. No, we are still in a harvest right now. Got my gauges hooked up. You got the high side red, low side blue. A little above 100 on the low side, and 150 on the high side. So we're a little bit off, but not bad. It's possible it's slightly overcharged as well, the system. Which who knows. But anyway, it is definitely running. It is definitely, I could see water kind of pouring down, melting off. So it's trying to, but there's so much ice buildup, it's grabbing on the sides. And there it goes, kicks back into a freeze cycle. It built up so much ice that it actually knocked the ice curtain off, and I had to dig it out of the bend in there. So anyway, we're gonna get this thing fixed though. We'll figure out what the heck the problem is. Due to the coronavirus, they actually shut the lobby down, so I don't even have to worry about people coming in, so that's kind of cool. So like I said, we're going to go back, we're going to double check our voltage on the microphone or ear. It is they used to use a probe that would ground out and tell you the thickness of the ice level thickness probe is what they called it. Now it's an ice level thickness ear microphone. Alright, we're going to have to go back in here. There it is. Get it back into a harvest. Actually, another way I like to do is just go get hot water with this much ice, because I don't want it to actually fall off if I can help it. So I want to grab it and take this ice back to the sink and let it thaw back there. Because if that falls, it's going to smash into this and get wedged inside of here. This thing just sits on top of a pop machine, so anyway, we'll get it. Got you back in there. Oh, there we go. Starting out, we're about 90 on the low side, which is exactly what we want to see in a harvest. And less than 150, 127. My cheap gauges, I use cheap gauges. I don't even have the low loss fittings. I don't like low loss fittings. If I get anything, I like the valves, which you should definitely use. Just don't have them on this particular set right at the moment. So we know that the valve, the harvest valve, which is hard to see, but it's back there, it's doing its job. Now all we got to figure out is whether it's this or the control board. And we'll be able to do that, but I got to get the ice off of there first. Okay, all right, we're back. I pulled this loose. We're going to check between the black and red wires, which is going to be the center one and the one on the right, right there. And so what we need to be seeing is anywhere between 3.35 and 3.25, or pretty darn close to. So see if I can't set you guys up so we can see that. Hands are going to be in the way. Let's see. Okay. We got 3.31. I'm going to call that close enough. We have got a bad ear. So, we were getting the voltage, the correct voltage coming from the control board. We are going to get a new one of these, and that should take care of the problem. Until then, we're going to shut this thing off so we don't have to get all that ice off there again. Anyway, so you walk up to one of these systems and you have a big chunk of ice built up on it. First things first, remove it, clean it, make sure that it's clean, because a lot of times if they get dirty, the ice won't want to fall off of there. It kind of grabs on and hangs on. The next thing, always make sure they're level, of course. The next thing is to be looking at components such as your ice thickness probe, control boards, pressures. Make sure your pressures are on and you're not way off on everything. The last thing to do is to make your checks. On this particular model, you can use the red and black wire, and of course this is where the condensing unit is up on the roof. A line set runs up through the wall and out, and yeah, so we will order one of those. I'll replace it. We'll test this thing again and watch it make a batch of ice, watch it go into a harvest, watch it fall off, and make sure that everything is working the way it ought to. Alright, got the part in, and we're going to install it into this here unit, and so I will show you how that is done. So we are in, got the front cover and the top, the side, the panel pulled loose. We're going to disassemble, take this out. Probably one of the hardest jobs you'll ever do. Just kidding, it's like the easiest job in the planet. So we'll unplug this, pull it out, route it through. And then when you go to install the new one, it comes with this handy dandy little clip. Make sure you pull that clip off of there. I'm going to do this one-handed. I'm holding the phone. Make sure this washer is pulled out of there. If you ever install a brand new ice machine, they come with that already, this little clip and washer on there. They usually have pictures and a lot of like stuff taped on there saying take this off or else it won't work. And alright, well, my video skills are not the best, but it just snaps right into place. Then we just reroute that back through, and then there'll be some plugs we gotta plug in or some stuff. I'll have to remove this little part because it's gonna have a piece that snaps in there. Put my big boy pants on. Snaps right in. There we go. And we will just reroute that back in. Plug it right back into place, and then we're going to run a test on this thing. Okay. All right. Go ahead and let's get it making ice. All right, so that's going to run through its cycle. We'll come back once we have a sheet of ice made and when it goes into a harvest, and we will show that it works. Got no ice. Probably need to clean this thing. It's looking a little dirty. We'll come back, we'll clean that later. Maybe that'll be the next video, doing an ice machine cleaning. But anyway, we're going to make sure this thing makes ice and that it goes into a harvest and that it drops. So stay tuned. Make sure that you adjust this Liquid Level Pro, hard to tell, can't really see it, away from the grid so that it is not touching. And there is a certain distance, I don't know the exact distance that it is, building up some frost, so that's good. But anyway, yeah, so to adjust it, this screws in, pulls this actually away from that grid. Alright, it is making ice right now. Decent little thickness. It's got to be getting close to going into a harvest. And again, I apologize for my video skills here. I'm just basically holding a cell phone and recording it. But I just wanted to show you how to troubleshoot between the ice level thickness probe sensor and control board on a Manitowoc ice machine. And sometimes they're slightly different. Usually on the older style with the actual sensor that grounds out. A lot of times what happens with those is it's just like a buildup of either corrosion or slime, and they'll ground themselves out up inside, and it won't make any ice. And a lot of times you can clean them and put them back together and they'll work. These ones, they don't really get dirty. I mean, they do, but they don't really affect the operation. this thing can be just filthy and the unit will still run. But the old style was definitely not the case. Those things got built up with even corrosion on the cover where it faced against the ice machine. It would not go into a harvest and build a big thing of ice. So there we go. It just went into harvest mode. And that looks pretty good. That ice is fairly thick enough. I mean, it's not too thick or too thin. I had to adjust it a little bit again with just the screw on there. A lot of times with troubleshooting an ice machine is just patience, sitting there and watching it, see what it does and what it's not doing, and then correcting the problem. You know, I mean, it was building a big chunk of ice, so we knew that it was either not falling off or not going into a harvest, and it was obviously not going into a harvest because this wasn't sensing it, and now we know the difference and how to check and test to see if it's this or the control board. So hopefully that helps. It helps me to show my guys how things work. The order of operations is really a big deal. So I'm just blabbing on while this thing falls off. I got to make sure it's going to fall off. It doesn't hang on or grip on. If it doesn't want to fall off, makes ice, goes into a harvest, doesn't want to fall off, there's a problem with the grid. Usually, 9 times out of 10, it's dirty. But every once in a while, there'll be... There we go. Awesome. These little pieces in here will actually come loose and hold onto the ice, or the grid is bad. Somebody put the wrong kind of cleaner in it. So, just some things to be aware of. But as for this one, we are fixed and good to go. So I'm going to close this thing up and get out of here.